Welcome back to the Simply Fitness Podcast. I'm John Stein, and on this episode of the podcast, I got a chance to interview Sharone Sapir, a nutritionist, where we talk about why most people struggle with their nutrition, and does nutrition really need to be as complex as it seems to be. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Awesome. Welcome, Sharone. I'm excited to have you on. This is going to be a little bit different than some of my other podcasts. I usually have a lot more like fitness-oriented people and things like that, and I'm so happy to be able to chat with you a little bit more nutrition-based and a lot different of background compared to, some of the other people, especially like in the mentorship and everything like that. So that's why I definitely wanted to have you on, different viewpoints and everything like that. So let's just get right into it and just introduce you to everyone, get a little bit about your background, how'd you come into nutrition and, just give a little background for everyone.
Okay. So I'm a nutritionist. I went to school. I have my degree in nutrition and education from Columbia University. Yeah. Basically, it was back when I didn't even know that there were other avenues, like, how a lot of people do precision nutrition or something. So I was like, okay, I guess I have to go get my master's degree. And I had like two little kids, and it took me, how long did it take me? I think it took me 4 years to get my master's degree, but I did it. And it's because I'm really, really passionate about it. I've dealt with food issues forever. Like ever since I was little, I just loved junk food and sugar, and I was just like an addict for when I was little. And then my dad, he got diabetes. He was 40 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was skinny too. He was like tall and thin, and he got diabetes. So then our house went from having the junk food to nothing, because my mom was a bit progressive in terms of her view on nutrition, whereas back then in the 90s, they had the pyramid and they said, 6 to 11 servings of bread a day, and he could have that. My mom was like, no, he can't. No, he can't. But it became a little bit too militant. And I think I started to develop a lot of my food issues from that type of restriction. But I also at the same time saw what he was dealing with health-wise. And so I was trying to reconcile that, right? I wanted to be healthy. I didn't want to get diabetes like my dad, but I also love junk food. So fast forward to high school, I read every single diet book there was. Kind of jumped on that bandwagon, got really confused, had a hard time with my weight. I thought it was really bad in high school, and I wasn't. It's only because a lot of girls in high school are so skinny, right? So it's like relative. But those issues just continued and continued, but I really started to fall in love with nutrition, meaning maybe I was misguided on the diet side, but I appreciated the fact that food and recognize that from a really young age. So I became really interested in it. I wanted to go to school for it, but my parents, being the Israeli are, were like, we're not paying for that degree. Like, go choose something that makes money. So I kind of floundered for a while. I ended up getting married really young out of school. I ended up having a kid when I was almost 24, which in some parts of the country is not young. For New York, I was basically a teen mom.
Yeah, exactly.
I was treated as such too. So once I had my daughter, she was about a year old, I was like, that's it. Like, I'm an adult. I want to study nutrition. That's what I'm going to do. I think my husband was too busy and tired to even like notice or care. And he's like, yeah, sure, do whatever you want. So I embarked on this really long journey of doing the prerequisites and getting my degree. And then I started working a few years ago. And it's just like, I'm so lucky that I get to do this as my job. I'm obsessed with teaching everyone what I've learned, what took me a really long time to learn. It took me a while to get my own relationship with food, to find balance. It took school, it took personal experience, it took a lot of things. So I just want to pass that on to anyone who will listen and save them from some mistakes and help them along. And that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Oh, that's awesome. I feel like that's what coaches are. Like, it's just like, we've taken all this experience that we've had and passion, and now we'll pass it on to other people so they can do it in probably half the time and avoid, half the mistakes that we've all made and probably still make to some degree. You know, there's plenty of places we can improve on still as well.
We're still human.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I haven't really talked too much about nutrition on the podcast other than, you know, in the sense of dieting and, you know, macros and things like that. So I wanted to get a little bit more, you know, into the topic of nutrition in general. Not too much like specifically dieting. So like first one, like why do you think nutrition is such a struggle, especially with, you know, nutrition is something we deal with daily. It's like it's not something that we can avoid. You know, we can't just not eat every day. Like nutrition is where like fitness is something you can do daily, but it's not like 100% a necessity like nutrition. You have to eat every day. You have to. So why do you think, or what do you think is like, why do you think people struggle so much with their nutrition?
Oh my gosh, that's such a loaded question, John.
Yeah.
It's like the most loaded question ever. I mean, there are so many factors. Where do I begin? I mean, let's just start biologically, right? Like, where did we evolve? Did we evolve where there was a McDonald's and a Starbucks on every other block? Oh, you froze. Does that mean anything if you're freezing? You can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We evolved in food scarcity. So we're biologically wired to do anything we can to stay alive, which means we think we're in control, but we're not as much in control. Like when we smell food, when we see food, when we taste food, our primitive instincts kick in, and the job there is like hoard it. You don't know when there's going to be a famine. You don't know when you're not going to have access to food. Like you need those foods to live off of.
Yeah.
And we just haven't caught up. Like that's the truth. Like we haven't caught up. Like we're living in a completely different time than the time we evolved in. And there's like dissonance. Like and it's a problem. Being in this obesogenic environment where cheap food is available all the time. And like, especially with this pandemic, like we're working from home, sometimes in the kitchen. They're just there. Like we're fighting our biological instincts. And it gets exhausting. So there's that piece of it. There's also the emotional piece of it. Food serves another purpose, right? Food comforts us. And along with being biologically wired to hoard food so we don't die, we're also biologically wired to not feel bad and to do everything to prevent feeling bad. So food is there. It's comforting. For some of us, we have a reward center that is more sensitive to food. Like we all know that person who just like doesn't care that much about food. Like who's like, whatever, like that's a delicious cookie, but you know? And we all that person who takes a bite out of that cookie. And when I say that person, I'm raising my hand. Goes, oh my God, that cookie is so good. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That's like literally what happens to me. So that's another reason, right? So we feel better and we deal with a lot of emotional crap like all the time. Like we're always kind of medicating, and it's of all the ways to medicate ourselves, this is probably in a way, at least in the short term, the safest, right? Like doing hard drugs, not safe short term. You'll feel better, but
exactly. I think that I love where you took that, because that is such, I think, something that people don't really think about, like that we have such access to all this food now that it's really, like, when you think about it, crazy. Where I live in New Jersey, I can think about off the top of my head, within 5 to 10 minutes of me, I have like 10 grocery stores that I could go to. I have, on top of that, 50, 60 different restaurants I can get food from, convenience stores. Like there's food at every turn that I can go, plus a kitchen filled with food, like we have such access to food that I agree with you that our bodies just haven't caught up to. Like I was just writing a whole post like before this that was all about like meal prepping and meal planning. exactly for that exact reason that if you leave the decision up to yourself to make those, just like in your mind, you're going to go for those options because you're bombarded
Yeah.
with all of this feedback. I walk outside the gym and there you go. There's a habit burger right outside. It smells delicious. Every time I go, it just smells delicious. And, if you don't have that plan, you're going to go for it because your body thinks, oh, food, let me eat it.
Yeah. So that's why I work a lot with clients on retraining their thinking,
Mm,
because this can be, I mean, meal prepping is one tool and it's a great
yeah.
tool for some people. I mean, if you meal prep, like you really can't make mistakes because it's
Yeah.
there and like you spend so much effort doing it that
Yeah.
it's a great system. Some people either aren't organized enough or
Mhm.
don't like to eat the same thing
Yeah.
or just don't want to do it. And
Yeah.
so when that happens, I tell them, okay, anytime you're hungry, think, what's my protein? That has to become automatic. You have to just start scavenging for proteins. Let's see what's available. Do I have cottage cheese? Do I have Greek yogurt? Do I have chicken? What do I have that I can build my meal around? That's a
Mhm.
protein. Because if you
Yeah.
follow that template, then you're already going to be miles ahead of if you start with, oh, I'll have some chips.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no, that's a great way to think about it. Go straight for that, build that base of, especially protein. That's like the first thing, if you're going to, track any macronutrient. I always tell my clients, go for the protein first, because
Oh,
that's your building block and most likely going to fill you up more than, like you said, like those chips or, whatever you instinctively would go to.
well, it stops the positive feedback system, right? So
Yeah.
when we eat simple carbs
Hmm.
like chips, that upregulates our hunger. So we
Yeah.
get hungrier, we crave more. When we eat
Yeah.
protein, it's like a plug. It's just like,
Uh,
okay, I don't actually want that. It's funny how it works. Like
yeah.
what you eat affects what you're going to eat. And it's not that you can never
Mhm.
have simple carbs. Like
Yeah.
I think a diet where you can't have simple carbs is like sad.
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
sad. Like I can never eat a chip again. I can never have a pretzel. No. But if you have the protein first, those simple carbs are not going to have as much of an effect on you than if you have them alone.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great kind of analogy there that it kind of stops your system, gets your system to rethink and reevaluate. Oh, am I really hungry?
Yeah.
Because I just ate this and
Yeah.
now I'm not as hungry as I thought I was. I just was looking for that feedback, that little extra, to keep the system going, that feedback loop.
Totally.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of think on that. And as well as like what you're talking, that second point you brought up about being like a comfort and an
Mhm.
emotional type of thing. I think there is on top of that, kind of like where a lot of us use food, especially, I know with, especially with like the holidays coming up, like that food is much more of like a celebratory thing. Like we celebrate with food all the time. You get a promotion at your job. What do? You get a cake, you go out for dinner, you
Yeah.
know, you have holidays, you're all getting together, you're celebrating around food, and so I think we build up this in our mind that food is kind of like this reward for ourselves. And then we do it every day, not the 12, 15 times a year. Instead, we do it 365 days a year, celebrating and, causing this like feedback loop that you're talking about there.
Totally. And we socialize around food too, right? It's like
Yeah.
built into how we socialize. So
Yeah.
it's like, how do you get away from that? It's like you
Yeah.
can't socialize.
Yeah. I think that's like the hardest point for most people to balance. And like kind of like the thing that I try to tell people, like, try to see if you can get that first, because that's going to be the hardest thing to do is like being able to balance that social life. And, with everything going on right now, that's not really existent, but like, being able to go out with friends and, go to restaurants and go to, family events and still be able to stick within your diet and even with enjoy yourself without having to feel like you're, stressed out about, the food you're eating and everything like that.
And that has a lot to do with really tapping into those signals that we often ignore from our body, right? Like our bodies are so smart. Your body tells you when it's full. Your body tells you when it's hungry. If you just kind of key in there and go, okay, let me listen. Yeah, I'm not hungry right now. So it doesn't mean that you have to stop eating, but at least you have that awareness that you might not need to eat as much. You can kind of slow down your pace so that you're still participating.
Yeah.
Right? But you're slowing down how quickly you're eating. And by doing that, you're also slowing down how much you're taking in. And so you're kind of mitigating the effect of eating and socializing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of us just do it out of habit. Like I know, like when I'm in social situations, if I have like a drink in my hand, whether it be alcohol, water, or whatever it be, I just instantly drink more just because it's in my hand. It's a nervous habit of if I'm not talking and I'm listening to someone else talk, I'm just always have the, sipping on my drink. And that's how you get in trouble with the alcohol. But, like that's same thing with eating. Like you're at that dinner and you're, waiting, you're talking to someone and you're just instinctively just shoveling food in your mouth without even thinking about it. And that's how you end up eating 3 platefuls instead of that one plate that would have probably made you just as full.
Exactly. So it's really just a habit, right? It's just getting into the habit of eating more slowly, and it becomes automatic. And then once it becomes automatic, it's so much easier. But getting into that habit is really difficult. Like I can, say, oh, do this, and it doesn't sound hard. Like eating slowly does not sound like it's hard. It is really hard to do. You have to untrain yourself to go from shoveling food to slowing down.
Yeah, I do agree, because that is my wife to a T. She eats so fast, and she's like surprised about how slow I eat. I'm like, I'm just enjoying it. It takes time. I'm like, just put your food down, put your fork down and just take like a bite a little bit, enjoy it, have the conversation, get back to, eating. And it is a hard process to do to, because like you said, it sounds so simple, like, oh, eat slower. That's simple, but it's not.
I mean, the whole concept of weight loss, right? Or rather fat loss. It's a simple concept. It is one of the most difficult things to put into place, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's also why the diet industry has made so much money off of everyone, right? Because instead of saying, okay, this is what you do and let us help you kind of take these practical steps, they're like, ooh, take this supplement, take this detox, do this 21-day thing, do this. Like they make it more complicated because it makes more sense to us that something so hard would be more complicated. Like it just makes sense. Like, of course I need to do this convoluted plan, because if it were simple, I would have already lost weight.
Yeah, exactly. Like why does it need to be so complicated? And I've talked about this on other podcasts about fitness and nutrition, that like, why is it so complicated? And then like the name of the podcast is Simply Fitness. It's supposed to be simple. Why does it have to be so complicated in, nutrition and fitness and everything in general? We always make it more complicated. And I feel like that's like kind of like the biggest barrier. We create this giant wall for ourselves, a Mount Everest, when it's really just a hill. It's just a bunch of series of hills that we just have to overcome each one instead of trying to climb this giant mountain.
Well, I think part of it is just that it's boring. Like let's get real. Like the process of actually losing weight in a sustainable way, in a practical, using like practical advice and logic, is just so boring. It's not sexy at all.
Yeah, it really isn't. I 100% agree. I tell people all the time, like, what do you do? What do you do? I'm like, it's boring. It's boring. When, you have to learn your food selection. You have to work out correctly, count calories if that works for you, figure out what works for you, eat less, move more, that doesn't sound sexy, and it's not, but it really is that simple. And,
Yeah. And you've made such a transformation. I saw on Instagram your before and afters for like a year apart.
Yeah.
That's like there's a big difference, John. I was really impressed.
Yeah, no. And that's not even that before picture I even put that I've didn't even take a true before picture because I was just so embarrassed with myself. But that was as a result of, trying to like, crash diet, being really rigid with my diet and with my fitness. And it worked, but it really didn't work because it didn't stick with me. And it took a long time to, see those sustainable results. And now it's easy. I don't think about the food that I'm really eating because I just naturally gravitate towards those foods. Now, I can enjoy myself with, pizza on Fridays, or, getting that sandwich that I enjoy, or whatever it may be, and getting the workouts in. And if I miss someone, it's okay, I'll get it tomorrow. Like,
yeah, that's where I am right now with workouts.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
used to be so hard on myself if I didn't get my 4 in.
yeah,
And then I asked my coach, I have a strength training coach, Susan
yeah,
Niebergall, and
yeah,
I was like, can we do 3 times a week? Because I am just like, I can't get in 4 times a week. And then I feel like, kind of like, what's the point? I can't get in 4. So she got it down to 3 times a week, and I was doing so well. And then it's gotten so busy that I'm like down to once to twice. But even getting down to once to twice a week, I have to
yeah,
say, I don't feel like I've gone soft like I do when
yeah,
I completely don't work out. I'm like, it
yeah,
still does something. Like it's
yeah,
optimal. I'm not building muscle, but
yeah,
at least maintaining, and I'm not getting
yeah.
soft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's kind of how my whole process went. Like I wasn't trying to reach the end goal, within a certain amount of time. I was just like, I want to get healthier. I want to feel better. And there were certain points where I like, maybe moved my calories down or worked out a little bit harder to, push those results a little bit faster. But I never did it long term, and I never worried about it. And there were times where, like you just said, that I got busy. I moved, 10 hours back north. Like I didn't work out for like almost a whole month, and I didn't see any loss in progress.
Yeah.
Like it just, you just build up habits and you adjust, you know, to the stress of life. I feel like the more rigid you are, the
Yeah.
more likely you are to, like, when an obstacle does come in the way, which it always does. Life is never the same for 6 months to a year. Something's always going to pop up, a family emergency, job change, whatever it might be, a pandemic, so the more rigid you are, I feel like you're less likely to be able to go with like the ebb and flow of life. And the more flexible you are, like you can adjust accordingly, and it just keeps your mind in that right place.
Exactly. And that's because we've been so brainwashed too by the diet
Yeah.
industry that like you must follow this plan in order to lose weight. It's like we get into such an all or nothing approach. And that's usually the biggest obstacle that I have with new clients
Yeah.
is they've done a lot of diets before and they believe that they have to be perfect. And I always I kind of hold my breath almost when I get a client that is like eating protein and vegetables like 4 times a day. And I'm like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Because
Yeah.
they're usually within a few days, they're like, I messed up. I ate this. And then I thought, what the hell? I'll just eat everything else. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
It's so hard to undo that thinking.
Yeah. It really is. That all or nothing approach is not, sustainable. And it shouldn't even be the goal. Like I don't like perfection. I don't think like anyone should strive. You can strive to be the best, but like be okay with if you don't hit 100%, because you're never going to get there. Like there's no way to be, hit your calories every single day. There's no way. There's no way to hit your macros 100%. Like you would have to, I wouldn't even have to know like how exact you would have to be to hit 100% of your goals when it comes to nutrition every single day. Fitness, a little bit easier because, if you're doing it only 3 to 4 times a week, there's a lot more wiggle room with
Yeah.
that, but when it comes to nutrition, it's an everyday thing. There's no way you can hit 100% of your goal. There's no way.
Yeah. And I think that flexibility has to be built into it. Like you have to be able to eat a treat every day. Like I went through so many phases in my life where I was like, sugar is the devil. Like I can't eat any sugar. Like sugar is responsible for all these horrible things and inflammation and autoimmune, like all this stuff. I was so scared of it that I would denounce sugar and then like really fear it. It wasn't taking a break. Cause like these days, sometimes I'll be like, whoa, Sharone, you kind of overdid the sugar this past week with a holiday or whatever. Like, take a break for a few days, get your taste buds back. They've been desensitized. You can't taste anything anymore, you know? So, but I used to be so scared of it. And then at a certain point, inevitably, I would just quote unquote cave and feel like the biggest failure, the biggest sham, you know, like here I am, you know, all about nutrition and I can't stay away from sugar. And it's so silly because reducing sugar has a huge effect on you. You know, it doesn't have to be 100% eliminated. Just like eating a plant-based diet or eating an 80% plant-based diet or even 70% plant-based diet still gives you the same benefits of a plant-based diet. It's not like if you have a piece of chicken or fish that you've like undone all of the goodness of the plant-based diet. It's like we just get into these all or nothing and it hurts us.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially what I see with a lot of people, especially in my own life, that they have this, you know, that all or nothing type of approach where they like put certain foods, like you did with, you know, you said sugar's the devil, like certain foods in this bad category, you know, they can't have it or they make themselves feel bad, and then they'll eat less of it. But then they go into these other foods that are quote unquote healthy, but what they don't realize is that they're still overeating in general, and that they come up with, you know, put these foods in these categories here that cause them to, you know, they think that they're doing so great, but they're really not when they look at it. And instead of beating themselves up over that quote unquote bad food or, you know, having some sugar and things like that, if they had just, you know, gone in with that, maybe ate a little bit less, they would have probably reached their goal a little, you know, a little bit sooner than if they did that all or nothing type of thinking there.
Yeah. And it's just funny, like you mentioned, like, you know, a bad food, even our language, right? Like, I've been so good. I've been so bad. It's like, how are we like attaching morality to, to food? Like, it's just, it's ingrained in our culture to do that. And it's also another thing that's not helping us.
No, I agree. I don't like labeling, you know, certain foods as like good, bad, healthy, unhealthy, but more of like, I forget who put it like this, but like more towards like food that's, you know, going towards your goal or getting you further away from your goal. Like what foods are going to help you do one. If there are foods that you tend to overeat, you know, that trigger that and get you to overeat and that's going to bring you further from your goal. Maybe those are foods you shouldn't be eating. Those foods, you know, like for me, chips, candy, I will always snack on candy if it's in my house. I always have, you know, during quarantine, if we bought a bag of chips, it was gone in 3 days. It was me and my wife. There's only two people. And most of the time it was just me. So like, I'll eat a whole bag, and if I don't have it there, I'm not going to eat it.
Yeah. It gets tricky though with kids, I have to say. So, yeah, because I'm still a bit scarred from when my mom didn't let any junk food into the house, and I'd go to my friends' houses and like ask for their junk food drawer and then just like fill my pockets up with Oreos. So with my own kids, I made a conscious decision to have treats in the house. And thankfully I'm at a place now where, you know, I don't binge, restrict, because I used to restrict so much. So binging was really a problem for me. And then once I found that balance, I don't have that anymore, but I do have trick foods. So like Nutella is not allowed in the house. And my kids know, like, mommy doesn't buy Nutella because mommy will eat the whole jar in 2 days. Like they accept it. They love me. And like, it's okay. I'll buy them everything else. But it is really important to know what your own personal triggers are and to ask people around you to respect that.
Yeah, I agree. That's why like we only buy, like, you have to kind of come up with your own plan there that works with, you know, the people within your environment. And that's why like we come up with that rule of like, okay, like we're going to buy one bag of chips. We go grocery shopping about like once a week. That's usually the average, other than if we have to pick stuff up. But if we're going to get like snacks, it's going to be one snack each week. And that's it. Once it's gone, it's gone. And then you have whatever else is in the house, you know, whether that's the fruit or, you know, the veggies or whatever it may be. But we limit it so we know if we have a lot of it, we're gonna eat it all.
Yeah.
We're gonna eat every single ounce of it. So if we overstack our apartment full of food, like it's gonna get eaten.
Yeah, you have to know thyself.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know kind of, like you got to be realistic with yourself of like what foods, cause you to, that push you further away from your goals, whether that's, food that you tend to overeat or, like certain meals that maybe don't make you feel so great, the next day or whatnot, or like alcohol. Like if like, I know if I have a couple drinks, I get hungry. Like
Oh, yeah.
I'll eat a bunch more. So
Yeah.
like if, make sure I eat beforehand or, space out your drinks or, be smart about like the decisions that you're making.
Well, it's interesting that you brought up alcohol because I think most
Yeah.
people don't know that one of the reasons that it can make you more hungry is because it can lower your blood sugar, and not like in a healthy way, like, oh, you want lower blood sugar. Like, no, if you're afraid of diabetes, please don't start drinking. But it turns off lessens how much sugar your liver can make, because our blood sugar, part of it is from the food we eat and part of it is from it's made in the liver. So you kind of turn off the liver part and then your blood sugar gets lower. And that's often what happens when you have a hangover the next day. You're really experiencing dehydration and low blood sugar. So fun. But yeah, it can make you eat. And it also lowers your inhibitions, right? Like when you drink, you're like, I look great.
Yeah. Why not? Why not eat? Why not get those extra plate of wings or, why not stop at McDonald's on the way home and feel great afterwards,
And to clarify, you do look great, but I think when we're drunk, you have that just like that extra confidence that you get in every aspect, but it translates to like, I don't need to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So it's always about like, I think sometimes like setting yourself up for success, and kind of coming up with knowing your strengths and your weaknesses when it comes to food, whether it's like those trigger foods or, making those decisions for yourself in advance. Like what we do is we come up with a menu every week, for our dinners, because we know if we don't, that's how we end up with pizza 3 nights out of the week or, and ordering out and things like that. That's how we end up with meals that maybe aren't don't push us closer to our goals, but usually, push us, further away.
Yeah. And it also helps to have like a backup plan of just easy meals that you can make. Like anything can be a meal, first of all. I think many of us get really about like what a meal should look like and how fancy it should get. It's like, no, anytime you put edible things together with a high enough calorie intake for you to, sustain you for a few hours, that's a meal. So for me, like I'll rely on Ezekiel bread with something in it. If I'm stuck without any options, like I'll toast some Ezekiel bread. For anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's a sprouted bread. I'm obsessed with it. I talk about it all the time, have clients eat it. But I love it because it's low glycemic, so it stabilizes your blood sugar. It's low calorie. It has its protein. It has its fiber. And when you toast it, and it has to be toasted, because if you don't toast it, it's not edible.
That's
so
true.
You toast it, and just like everything goes with it. Like I can make a tuna salad, or whipped cottage cheese, or even slices. Just easy stuff. Like I just rely on like quick backup meals, even if somebody else might not really consider it a meal. And then I'll just add vegetables or fruits or some nuts. And it's like, there you go. It's boring, but it doesn't taste bad. It's fine. You get used to it. You just kind of adjust your expectations.
Yes, exactly. I think that too, that like brings on like a good point that like we think we have like these like kind of like these templates in our head of like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and what entails each of those.
Yeah.
And I think like once you kind of break free of like, oh, that's a breakfast food, that's, for lunch or for dinner, and like what those entail, it like really like kind of frees you to be like, well, I can have chicken and rice for breakfast if I really wanted to. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Why do I need to have, because I think to me, like one reason I fast is I don't eat healthy breakfasts. First of all, I don't think most breakfast, and I just don't want breakfast. Um, so I start my meal with lunch because I like lunches and dinners, like that's just, but I can, once you like think about it, you're like, oh, I don't need to have like oatmeal for breakfast. I could have, chicken and rice if I really wanted to, or a salad for breakfast, if you,
Totally. Totally. I mean, my grandfather, I remember every breakfast was an Israeli salad, which is just chopped up cucumbers, tomatoes, some olive oil,
yeah,
parsley,
yeah,
and toast with cottage cheese. Like that was like every day, like salad for breakfast. Why not? And you can do eggs for dinner, right? Like
yeah,
eggs are cooked they could be prepared a million different ways.
yeah,
And you use frozen vegetables and mix them in. I mean, like
yeah,
we can't limit ourselves. And likewise,
yeah,
a snack and a meal are essentially the same thing. We're just talking
yeah,
about this as an amount. Any
yeah,
meal can be a snack, any snack can be a meal.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think like the whole complexity of it, I think a lot of us think that we have to like be super like great cooks. We have to be Michelin star cooks. Because I know
Yeah.
I follow you on Instagram and I know I've seen plenty of times where you say, I hate to cook. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And that uh and everything like that. Where like I'm the opposite. I love to cook. It's just something that I enjoy doing. My wife, more like you, she hates cooking. She can care less if she ever cooked ever again in her entire life. Like everyone, you have to like adjust to be like, well, you don't have to be a 5-star chef
Yeah.
to, eat well and
Oh,
to, keep your nutrition on track,
right.
and you can have different levels of it. That's why I'm like, here's some simple recipes, like keep
Yeah.
it simple. It doesn't have to be complex as, maybe sometimes I like to cook complex meals, but that's just because I enjoy
You
it.
enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really comes down to planning, right? So
Yeah.
even if you don't meal prep, right? Because
Yeah.
that requires like a greater degree of planning, you
Mhm.
still have to get that skill of planning because in
Yeah.
order to put things together on the fly, your kitchen has to be stocked. So
Yeah.
you have to plan the shopping and plan what you're going to get and what you're going to have.
Mhm.
Like I don't like to cook and I don't meal prep, but I
Yeah.
always make sure that I have my staples in my
Yep.
kitchen so that I
Yep.
can put stuff together always.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly why we come up with the menu. So like we know what to get, and then
Yeah.
we build around that. Lunches. Maybe have 1 to 2 lunches, and everything else is leftovers from the night before or from the day before that. And there you go. Like you have your whole. We planned out dinner because that was what kind of leads into everything else. Because we
Yeah.
really don't eat breakfast in my house, really. So like if we wanted breakfast, we have fruit and you know oatmeal if we really wanted to, and coffee, and there you go. Like there's breakfast for you. And then, you build lunch off of the dinner from the night before, or you have, like you said, you're stocked up. You have those options, salad and things like that. And I think that planning is just like a huge factor, like the willpower. I think a lot of us who have like kind of figured out most of it realize that like if you stop relying on your willpower, that's actually when you start to succeed because you will make the wrong decision if you leave yourself up to it on the fly.
Yeah. I mean, you have to build your lifestyle to support your goals because if
Yeah.
you don't, that means you have to rely on willpower all the time. And
Hmm.
there's no way that's not going to run out at some point. Like
Oh yeah.
life, yeah, there's so many curveballs that get thrown at you. And when you're tired and exhausted, you're stressed out,
Hmm.
like your willpower doesn't stand a chance. But if your life, you're literally all your habits are built around supporting
Yep.
goal you're trying to reach, then it's almost like they're like crutches, like supporting you up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like now I've just like what I said about the bag of chips. Like if I have chips in the house, I don't try to fight the urge to
Right.
have some because they're there. And like, why would I fight it and waste all my energy fighting it when I know at the end of the day, eventually I'm just gonna have it an hour later. Why not
Right.
just have it now, enjoy it, and move on with the rest of my day? Like go on.
Moving on is so big. Like, can we just talk about moving on? Because
Yeah.
It's something I deal with a lot, and I'm sure you do too with your clients. Like when they do have a splurge or they go off track and they just dwell on it and feel, right? It's just like a loop of like, why did I do that? Why couldn't I do this? Why couldn't I do that? It's like, if we just forgive ourselves, right? And move on, then that's it. Like you just get back to normal. And then if you dwell on it, sometimes you start going down, it's like downward spiral of like, well, guess I messed up. Might as well, what else didn't I eat this week that I wanted to? Okay, let's get that in. What else? Oh yeah. Okay, tomorrow I'll start fresh. It's like the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. Like yesterday was yesterday. There's nothing you can do to change that. It's there. History is written. It's done. It's in permanent marker. You can't erase it. So now what can you do today to get yourself back on track? Get that, always that next meal, that next workout. There's nothing you can change about that. But today you can change. You can just get right back on track. There's no need for punishment. There's no need for, beating, chastising yourself for it.
And you don't do as much damage as you think, like maybe you wake up and you feel bloated and disgusting, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you actually put on like 3 pounds of fat overnight. You did it. Just like if you ate a salad all day, you're not going to lose 3 pounds of fat. Maybe you lose water, but it's like we overblow everything instead of putting it into perspective and having that resilience to just like move forward. It's all about moving forward. That's the difference between people who succeed on this really, really, really difficult journey and those who give up. And most people who succeed have given up many times before.
Yeah.
And then at some point just decided, I'm just going to keep moving forward. And that's when they start to succeed. So that resilience.
Yeah. You can't, just because you trip and fall doesn't mean to stay on the ground. You can get back up and keep on moving forward. It happens. You're going to miss a meal. You're going to, miss a workout. You're going to, maybe eat something that wasn't within your plan. That's okay. Like that's going to happen. Like if you really think about it, like if you're tracking calories, say 2,000 calories, even if you ate 2,000 extra calories, like in the long scheme of things, that's not even a true pound of weight gained. So like you could, like, there's no progress lost. It's just like, okay, next day I'm going to get right back on. There's no need for like make up for it. Just keep going.
It just delays, right? Like if you have a weekend of family and food and whatever, so maybe you're a week or two that you get a week or two behind where you would have been. That's all. It just delays it. It doesn't undo all your progress.
Yeah.
And that's why I think timelines are stupid too. Yeah. So.
Exactly. That's why I didn't put a timeline on my goal. I was like, I didn't even have a goal. I didn't have like a number I wanted to reach. I didn't have a certain like look that I wanted. I just wanted to move forward. I wanted to get consistent with my diet. I wanted to feel better. That was really my thing. I wanted to feel better. I felt like crap. My stomach was killing me. It affected my, thinking, and everything like that. And if you can't, in everything that I do, if I can't think right, if I'm not clear, I'm not going to be able to, create content for people. I'm not going to be able to, I was in school. I wasn't going to be able to, do the research I needed to do on, and think and pass tests. So it's like, okay, like that's what I want to do. Why does there need to be a timeline on it? And why do I need to put the pressure on myself to reach, 10 pounds lost in 3 months? Why can't I just go keep making progress, feel better, take my progress photos? Like I haven't weighed myself in months, just because like why I don't have a scale, but B, like why I don't need to know that right now, because the number to me doesn't matter. It's more about how do I feel?
Right. And you don't wear your weight on your forehead. Nobody does. Like,
exactly.
We have to stop chasing a number, because that number literally doesn't matter. Like it, once you're, of course there's like an unhealthy weight range and a healthy weight range. And even that, like, even about BMI, we can argue that like, it's not always reflective.
Yeah.
But it's, when we say we want to lose weight, what we're saying is we want to feel better. We want to have more confidence in how we look. Like that's what it's about. And that all rests on your habits. So whether you see the number or you don't, it doesn't,
Yeah.
your habits aren't going to change. Like the scale can be very helpful for some people. Like it can induce self-regulatory behaviors. So when people get on the scale, they're like, oh, it's up a little bit, like I should pay attention more, or it's down, that's encouraging. That means that I should keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But it's not for everyone.
Yeah. And truly not. It all goes back to like everyone's an individual and everything is going to be different. And like we talked about how you don't like to cook, I like to cook. Everyone's diet, everyone's nutrition, fitness is going to be completely different. And you have to find what works with you. Like I like to fast, doesn't mean fasting's for everyone. If someone likes keto, great, do it. But just understand that it's not for everyone. And I think a lot of people preach like, oh, this is the one and only way that you will ever see results. And it's like, no, because about 1,000 other people have seen results doing completely other things. And clearly what you're saying is wrong. You could be your diet, your fitness could be great. Like that you are right. You can make great results, but it's not the one and only way. And there'll never just be one way to do it. You got to find what works for your body and what makes you feel good.
Exactly. And it can require a lot of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
And
so much.
Right? Like it's just part of the process. Like I always tell people when I start working with them, we're going to try this. Yeah. It might work, it might not work. And if it doesn't work, we're going to go back to the drawing board. Yeah. Like there is no one that has the answer. And the people who claim to have the answer usually just put other people on very restrictive plans. Yeah. Which always work in the short term and always backfire in the long term. And so the slower way is more difficult in a way because you have to hang in there even when you don't want to. Yeah. But you learn so much and then that stays with you forever. Yeah. That becomes a life skill and leads to lifelong weight control. It's making an investment. Yes. I was just had another interview today and was literally just about that, but in the sense of like in strength training, it's like when you put on the muscle, you're putting that investment, that money in the bank and it's earning interest. The same thing with the habits. If you're building up these habits, it might take a long time for you to see your return on investment because now you're building up that habit. And it takes a long time because you're breaking habits that have been in your life for 10, 15, 20 years, maybe by the time most people would even realize it. And now you have to break it. And it takes time to see that return, but the return is going to be now you can live the next 30, 40 years without ever, having that as your habit now and understanding it. Yeah. And getting off of that, yo-yo dieting cycle. Yeah. Like enough. Yeah, exactly. And it takes a long time to like really realize that it's like you keep going from diet to diet to diet to diet and you're not seeing those results. Like sometimes it takes a while for it to click in people's head. Like, oh, maybe I need to change something. It's like, because they think it's them because you see those results. You're like, oh man, he has a 6-pack. He got results. Yeah. I must be the problem, not the diet I took. When it's like really it's the diet and the plan you chose was complete crap. It's unsustainable, right? Yeah. Like diets will never be like, oh, I'm sorry. The reason you put back the weight or you didn't lose weight is because I am completely unsustainable. Yeah. Never see that. Yeah. It's always, oh, well, you weren't strong enough. You weren't strict enough. You didn't care enough. It's like, no, Yeah, exactly. And I think people need to realize that it's, it's not always, it's not your fault. It's just like what plan are you picking and what program are you going on? And does that work within your lifestyle? And you got to be realistic. Some are not going to be realistic for them. And one of them will. There is a plan out there that's going to fit your lifestyle. And it might not be exactly, a plan, but you have to create your plan. There's a plan for Sharone. There's a plan for John. There's a plan for Bob out there. Like everyone has a plan. You just have to find what's going to work for you. A bajillion %. Yeah. So awesome, Sharone.
This was great. I had a great time chatting with you. I think this was a great conversation that's definitely going to help people, get that nutrition under control and learning about everything. So where can everybody find you, learn out a little bit more about nutrition and everything like that?
Sure. So I'm on Instagram daily. So you can find me on Instagram at Sapir Nutrition, Sapir Nutrition. And you can check out my website. It's not fancy, but it's there, SharoneSapir.com.
Awesome. I'll put those in the show notes for everyone so you can go ahead and follow Sharone. Sharone, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks. It was so fun to be on here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Simply Fitness podcast. Because you listened to this episode, I want to give you something away for free. In the show notes, I have a link to my free fat loss cookbook. This cookbook contains over 20 recipes that are specifically designed to help you lose weight. They are filled with protein, they are simple to make, and they take away that bland, boring diet food. So if you want to upgrade your diet today, go to the show notes, click on the link, and go get your free fat loss cookbook. And make sure you come back for more episodes of the Simply Fitness podcast.